In this video, I'll tell you how to enable the ViewBinding library in Fragments. In the past video, we enable ViewBinding in Activity. You can see this video from link in the description. And the first step to enable ViewBinding in the Fragment is the same as for Activity. Go to Build Gradle model file and in the Android section add build features ViewBinding is true. After that, click Sync Now to download ViewBinding, and to enable ViewBinding in the fragment, let's create the fragment. For this, click right button to Layout, then New, and then Fragment, Fragment blank. Let's name it Hello Fragment, Finish, and we have two files. The first file is our fragment layout, and the second file is for code in Kotlin. In Hello Fragment, let's delete some code, delete onCreate method, delete companion object, and we have only onCreateView method. In this method, we will enable ViewBinding. We can make it as in Activity. The first step is creating binding variable for this type variable binding, and type of this binding is our hello fragment. Type fragment hello, and choose fragment hello binding. We have error, and we need to add lateInit modifier because we haven't value of the binding. We make it later. Then, as in main activity, let's inflate our binding. For this, clear this line and type binding is our fragment hello binding point inflate. Then for inflate, we can copy this text and instead our layout write inflator. That's okay. And we need to return view. Let's make it as in main activity. View is binding point root. Return binding point root, and we can use our view binding. For this, go to fragment hello layout, choose our text view, then open attributes, and in attributes in ID field write, for example, fragment text, enter, and our ID is fragment text. Then return to hello fragment, add binding point, and we have our text view, which ID is fragment text. It's our view. That's okay, but it's not very good practice, because Google recommend to use in fragment two binding variables. How it works? First, lateInit, it's not good practice, delete it, and instead lateInit we must to initialize it. It will be null, because we haven't our view before onCreateView. Then, if it is null, we need to change type of our hello fragment to hello fragment with mark. That's okay. Then we have next error. We need to add non-null asserted call. How to do it? Let's create the second binding variable. First binding, it will be binding with space, and the second binding, it will be binding with two exclamation marks. For this, add get equal is after get and is equal to our binding with space and with 2 exclamation marks. Then our binding we change to val, and we can make it private, the first binding and the second binding. Then we can make our view not nullable, make not nullable, and it is not the end, because after the destroy of our fragment we need to null our binding. For this, add onDestroy, choose override fun onDestroy, and in this method type space binding is null. That's all. Then we can use our binding with safety recommendations from Google. If you have any questions, you can write me in comments, see other videos on the channel, subscribe to the channel. Good luck and goodbye.